No.4 Evolution. Hi! Aren't these earthen water pots good? Have you ever seen these earthen pots being made? For this, the potter gets the clay from the riverbeds, bottom of the pond, or from riverside. Then, he dries this clay in the sun. Substances like animal dung, ash, sand, grain husks are mixed in appropriate proportions in it. Then, water is mixed into it to prepare a mud-like consistency. This is known as kneading the clay. This clay is then rotated on the wheel to prepare the earthen pots. These soft clay pots are then baked in a furnace and made into hard pots. Then, these earthen pots are taken to the market for selling. Now you must be wondering, why am I telling you this today? This is because I want to tell you about how a thing is produced, how much time it takes, and what are the changes and how these changes take place while it is being made. So, we can call this process of preparing the earthen pot as the evolution of the earthen pots. Now, I'll give you some information about the concept of evolution. If we study the changes that take place in the living organism and their subsequent developments, then we realize that all these changes take place gradually, continuously, and in a sequence. In the same way, many types of living organisms come into being on Earth. This process is known as the evolution of life on Earth. The concept of evolution. Right from the formation of the Earth, the changes that took place on it were favorable for emergence of life on Earth. The word evolution is generally understood to mean gradual and continuous change. Evolution in the plant and animal world can be explained in the following manner. In the process of survival by adapting to environmental changes, certain internal physical changes occur in some animals of a species. Over a period of time, these internal changes become inherited characteristics seen in all following generations. What is heredity? Heredity means the passing of physical or mental traits from the parents to its offspring. Thus, a new species with characteristics different from the original may be created. Such a species is usually more evolved than the original one. Sometimes, the original species dies out or becomes extinct. Sometimes, more than one species evolve from the original one. The first scientist to give us a systematic explanation of the concept of evolution was Charles Darwin. Do you know? Charles Darwin, born 1809, died 1882, proposed his theory of evolution in his book On the Origin of Species in the year 1859. Before Darwin, scientist named Carl Linnaeus had introduced this method of classifying animals. He had expressed his opinion that going by the structure of the body, the human species and some ape species appeared to be related. In his first book, Darwin had not expressed any definite opinion about this relationship. In 1871, Darwin published his second book, The Descent of Man. In this book, however, he drew attention to the fact that though human do not have a tail, the last bone of their spine is a vestige of a tail. He also mentioned that some other non-functional or unnecessary structures in the human body, such as the wisdom tooth, are indicator of the process of evolution. On the basis of this, he accepted the inference that humans had evolved from tailless apes like the gorilla and chimpanzee that lived in the jungles of Africa. However, no evidence had been found till then in support of his theory. During the 20th century, the necessary evidence became available. Darwin's theory helps in explaining the evolution of life. Species which are capable of adapting to environmental changes are able to survive. The ones that cannot do so become extinct in the process of evolution. In ancient times, there were many species of a type of animal called dinosaur. It appears that these species of enormous dinosaurs suddenly became extinct. Some sudden natural disaster or environmental change is believed to be responsible for their extinction. Fossils of dinosaurs with wings have been discovered. It is believed that some species of two-legged and winged dinosaurs evolved into birds. Do you know? Due to the constant process of dead bodies of the living organisms being buried in the ground, and because of the process of decomposition, fossils are formed over a period of time. After understanding the concept of evolution of human, let us now learn the stages of evolution of animals. We have learnt in the previous lesson that life on Earth began with unicellular organisms known as protozoa. These unicellular organisms gave rise to multicellular living things. The multicellular organisms evolved gradually, and various classes of plants and animals came into being. The following are the stages of evolution of animals. Animals without a backbone are called invertebrates. For example, a snail.
Prawn.
Animals which have a backbone are called vertebrates.
Aquatic animals are ones which live in water. For example, fish.
Amphibians. Animals which live in water and also on land. For example, a frog. Aves. Animals with a pair of wings. For example, birds. Reptiles. Animals which crawl. For example, a snake. Mammals are the most evolved animals among vertebrates. The following are the characteristics of most of the mammals. Growth of the baby in the mother's womb for some time before birth. The baby is fed on the mother's milk for some time after birth. The platypus and some species of anteater are exceptions to this. They are considered mammals because even though they lay eggs, they suckle their young ones. This was a brief information about mammals. But do you know, man is the most intelligent animal amongst the animal kingdom. Let us find out how the evolution of human being took place. Apes. Apes are somewhat like humans in appearance. They mostly lived on trees. Those species of apes which continued to live on trees retained their original ape-like form. However, in grasslands, some ape species were forced to move around on the ground. These species evolved gradually and in time gave rise to the human species.
You will be amazed to see how our predecessors looked like 2 million years ago. The humans of that time had a narrow forehead, broad and protruding jaw. His body was hairy, and his hands and legs were very different from other animals. he could bring his thumb in front of the other fingers. This helped him to get a firm and tight grip. His feet were slightly curved. He could stand on his 2 legs and balance his body weight. His spine or backbone had a slight curve, hence he would bend forward while walking. The size of his brain was larger than other animals. With the perfect coordination of his intellect and physical abilities, he could protect himself and secure his livelihood.
This happened first on the African continent. The first human species is called the primitive man. Primitive means the first.
From them evolved the human species. These species evolved gradually in time, gave rise to the human species.
In the next lesson, we shall learn more about the evolution of the human species.